Okay, so two-step equations. We're going to have a couple things that we're going to do differently today. So, alright, so today I'm going to have you write all of this. So, two-step equations. Again, we're working backwards, but there's going to be more than one operation that we have to deal with. In general, you're going to get rid of addition or subtraction first and then multiplication or division, except for, I'm going to show you one exception to that. It's sort of like you're doing the opposite of order of operations. So if it's what you would do first for order of operations, you're going to do it last when solving equations. Still, whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other side. So that's one reason I'm not having you write down today. It's the same thing we wrote yesterday, right? So if we do something to one side, we have to remember to do it to the other side. And we want to plug our answers back in to check to make sure they're right. Okay? So let's do some examples. All right, here are your first two examples. So you can copy those down for me. Give yourself a little room to solve these. Yes, this is a 1. The 7s in this font all have this little tick mark across them. So this is a 1 right here. This is a 7. It's a really cute font, but the 1s still look like 7s. Alright, so we're going to solve that first one. Again, I'm putting that line down the equal sign. The more difficult these equations become, the better it is to have it there, because people start just flipping things from one side to the other when you can't do it. Alright, so we got 2x plus 5. I generally teach that you want to get rid of whatever is the furthest away from the x on that side. So we got the 2 over here and the 5. Right? So we got to get rid of both of them because they're over there with the x, and we need to get the x by itself. So we're going to start furthest away, right? So furthest away, the 2 is right next to the x. They're as close as they can possibly get, right? So we're going to leave them alone for right now. We're going to get rid of 5 over here. So Vince, what would I do to get rid of that 5? Not divide. Subtract, right? Because I got that plus sign right there. So I got to subtract 5 on both sides. Which will be? Cancel out those 5s. Bring down that 2x. 25 minus 5 is going to give you 20. Okay? So now we're down to a one-step equation like we were doing yesterday. We divide. Divide by 2. It's going to cancel those 2's. 10. Good job. Good job. Okay, questions? Yes, that's 1. So it's 10 there. Alright, one like number 2 sometimes is a little bit tougher because there's one thing students usually lose. It's the negative. Alright, so when we're doing number 2, okay, we need to start furthest away from the x. So the x is over here. We're going on this side, we got this negative 7. That's furthest away. So we need to get rid of that first. So, let's see, Laura, what would I do to get rid of that negative 7? We're going to add that 7. So we're going to add 7 to both sides here.
So that's 8.
That's a 7. I mean, that's a 1.
Oh my God. Let me take hold up.
That's a 1 right there. This one's a 7.
22.
So 22 right here. It's going to cancel these 7s. We're going to bring down that x. Now look right here. Now, I had that negative right there in front of the x. I didn't do anything with that, right? So I've got to bring that down. These are Miss Martin's notes. She put a 1 right here. And she put that 1 there to help her not lose the negative, right? You could just write that as a negative x if you want, but the negative has got to be there. So that negative's got to be brought down with that x. And so if you have, really you just have a negative x. So we've got like a negative x here. But anytime we have a variable and there's nothing in front of it, we can put an understood 1 right there, because 1 times x would just give you x, right? So if there's not a number there, we can put a 1. Sometimes putting that 1 in right there will help you know what to do next, help you know what to do with that negative, right? So now we got negative 1x. So when I look at this, Ayla, what am I going to have to do to get rid of that negative 1? I'm going to divide. And I'm dividing by that negative 1. Okay? So you don't change the sign when you're dividing. You just divide by that same number, because negative 1 divided by negative 1 gives you a positive 1, which means it cancels away. So we should get x equals negative 22. Okay, questions? All right, check your work. We're going to plug it back in. So if I plug this back in, and I'm checking to see if it works. If I do 2 times 10 plus 5, I've got to multiply 2 and 10 first, which is going to give me 20. 20 plus 5 equals 25, so it works, right? Again, you can probably check these in your head at this point, with the smaller numbers at least. Over here, you plug in negative 22. What happens with this double negative right here? Turns both of them into a positive. Notice the negative 7 stays the same. It's just those 2 next to each other. Turns positive. And negative 7 plus 22 equals 15. So, we've done that one correctly also. Alright, questions? Alright, here's a couple more. Some of you already said on that. Looks like fractions.
It's not like I don't pick up good at fractions, it's just me and fractions.
I need for you guys to keep a brown paper bag underneath your desk, so when a fraction problem comes out, you can hyperventilate into the brown paper bag. Put your head between your knees. If you're hyperventilating, like if you're breathing way too fast and like can't catch your breath, I think it does help. I think it also helps to like put your head between your knees. Yeah. Since we don't have paper bags, if you see a fraction problem and you begin to hyperventilate, and you're, oh gosh, you hyperventilate with a mask on, you're going to suffocate quick. Just acting like that was bad. So if you start, first take your mask off before you die, and then put your head between your knees. Bend over and put your head between your knees while you're sitting down, and it's supposed to help. So if you see a fraction problem and need to do that, just go ahead. We'll just wait for you to calm down, and then we'll continue on. But these really aren't fraction problems, right? They're really not fraction problems. Not fraction problems like the 2 I gave you for the warm-up. Because that fraction is actually just division, right? Yes? I don't know. I'm not sure. I do not know where that word came from. How about instead... Oh, I went too far. Here we go. Subtract 10. That's going to cancel the 10s here. It's going to give us 5 on the other side. So we got x over 4 equals 5. Okay, that is division. So that's x divided by 4. So to get rid of division, we're going to multiply by 4 on both sides. It will cancel the 4's here because one's on top, one's on bottom. And we're going to get 20. They're ones.
Yeah.
Sevens, in this font, sevens have that little tick mark across it. So,
Wait, did
Miss Martin,
Yeah, did she write that herself or?
I think it's font. I think she typed it.
They don't know how to do that. How would she write?
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that she typed it or she has very consistent handwriting. Yeah. Alright, so let's look at 4 because it's different. Okay? So number 4. This time, instead of just having the x divided by 4, the whole thing is divided by 4 over here. So, we are going to think, remember whenever we were doing order of operations, we said that if you have parentheses, or if you have a fraction, there's parentheses around the top and bottom, even though you don't see them written there. So what we really have up here is we got x minus 10 is in parentheses. So if we were doing order of operations, we would do it first. But whenever we're solving equations, we go backwards, right? So we would do whatever should be last first. So the first will be last and the last shall be first here. So the 7's what we got to deal with here first. We're dividing by 7. So we're going to multiply both sides by 7. Which will cancel our 7's because we got 7 in the top and a 7 in the bottom here. Okay? And so, since those 7's cancel, we are going to get x minus 10 equals 56. Nope, not 56 minus 10. Because we have to do the opposite operation here. So, instead of subtracting, we should... Okay, do you have a question?
No, I was thinking of how I started doing it yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Where I would take 56 and I would
Okay. Okay. So like in this, you're just kind of like going backwards, right? So if we add 10 right here, we're going to get 66 for our answer. Since this is a minus 10 right here, you have to do the opposite operation. So the opposite of subtraction is addition. Correct. You are welcome. Alright, you're going to check your work. If you plug in 20, you would divide first here, which would give you 5. You would add 10. 5 plus 10 does equal 15. So yay. That's right. Okay, here you plug in 66. Again, it's like you got parentheses in that numerator, so you would do that first. So 66 minus 10 is 56, and dividing it by negative 7 is going to give you negative 8. So that one's right also. Okay, questions? All right, so that is it for notes for today.